Right, Morscraft. What have we got? We have got Ghazghkull playing as the Zerg in the top left of submarine, and Marsbar playing in the bottom right. I can't remember again which player is which. One of these players though is Luke Honey. Shout out to Matt Honey if he's watching. You guys may or may not know, but Luke's big brother Matt is a previous winner of the EMS StarCraft League, has got his name on the shield, so no pressure, Luke, but you know, eyes are on you. Eyes are on you. So our Zerg player looking reasonably normal, not sure about the gas, but has got everything going on pretty normally. No sign of an expo just yet. That's why I'm kind of surprised at the gas. You don't typically go gas first into more workers. Gas first tends to be a bit aggressive. So frequently you would go hatchery gas pull, or you would go pull gas hatch. Yeah, so I don't know if this is part of a plan. It doesn't look like it, because I'm still not seeing a hatchery from the Zerg. Over in Terranland, Marsbar has dropped a barracks and has a full wall in, and I don't mind that at all. Especially if you're not going to get an early scout. Your options against Zerg are you get a really early scout and you check the timing of the spawning pull, or more commonly, what I tend to do is check the timing of the hatchery, because if your worker gets to here and there's no hatchery, you know that the Zerg has gone pull first. As it happens, this is pull before hatchery, but it is by no means an early pull, so that scouting information wouldn't necessarily be great. But you get up into the men, you check the timing of the pull. If when you get there it's already finished, you know there's lings coming. It's as simple as that. So so you can finish your wall, or you can get ready. But I don't mind, as an alternative, just don't bother with the scout, assume that there's things coming and fully wall off. What I'd really like to see come out though is a Reaper at this stage. It's a good first unit. I don't rate Reapers as a general rule. They're not good units past the first couple of minutes, but as a unit to have one of at the start of the game, they're really useful. They can jump up cliffs, they can jump into your opponent's base, they're very fast, they can have a look around, they can get stuff done. This Overlord's going to die, it's too deep to escape. If you pull this Marine over here with another Marine coming out, get your other Marine on the low ground, you should be able to snipe this Overlord. I think even without Micro in the Marine, the Overlord is probably going to die with the Marine just chasing it. How much have we got left? Yeah, he's going to die, isn't he? He's not going to make it. So Ghazghkull is just come a little bit too deep with that Overlord and lost it. Often that is a problem this early in the game, but he has not been supply blocked by it on this occasion. So workers in production and a roach warren coming down, and he has been mining gas for a while, so has got a reasonable gas bank, will be able to turn that into a lot of roaches. And notice that he's also building 2 Overlords, so he's got plenty of spare supply as well. The Queens need to be doing the injects though on the hatcheries to get out the extra larvae, but should be able to build a reasonable number of roaches and potentially that was getting a bit intense for a second there, and potentially get a reasonable swell of roaches to come across the map and break this. Roaches are armored units, so they're pretty good against Marines generally until there is huge numbers of Marines. Marines do a relatively small amount of damage, but they do it again and again pretty quickly. So against an armored unit, the way armor works is it reduces the amount of damage taken per hit. So the fact that Marines do lots of small hits means that armor is especially effective against them. Where are these guys off today? These guys are carrying gas about like it's, I don't know, like it's some sort of party. Factory has got siege tanks in production queued up. The barracks has stopped doing anything, and I don't know why. And similarly, the starport hasn't built anything at all yet. So Marsbar needs to get on top of his production a little bit. This siege tank, if it sieges up in this location, is a potent enemy. You could even siege it up, you know, I'd forgive someone for sieging up right at the edge at this stage. Reasonably tucked in here isn't too bad either, but up on the high ground, better still, because your opponent would need high ground vision in order to shoot that. So there are queens here. This queen is injecting. There are some roaches being produced now. Hydroden coming down at all this as well. I'm not really sure where this build is going. It is still, you know, this is the first round after all, so you know, I'll forgive people for just trying out a bit of this, bit of that. I like the cloaked banshee. Cloaked banshees can get a lot done. There isn't any detection here, but there is a layer. So as a Zerg, you can turn your Overlord into an Overseer, and that is a mobile detection. You know, each race has got some form of mobile detection and some form of static detection. As a Zerg, your mobile detection is Overseers that you can convert Overlords into. Your static is a Spore, which is sort of the Zerg equivalent to a Terran missile turret. It can only shoot air, but it also acts as the detector. For the Terran missile turrets, as suggested, your mobile detection comes in the form of a Raven that you can build from a starport with an attached tech lab. But the Terran also has the ability to drop scans. So arguably the Terran's cheating. Yeah, Protoss has observers and has photon cannons as its form of detection. You can also, there are a few kind of tricks around that as well. Each race has also got a spellcaster that can reveal cloaked units. So for the Terran, that's Ghost and EMP will reveal cloaked units. For the Protoss, that's Revelation from an Oracle. For the Zerg, that is Fungal from an Infestor. Sorry, for a minute there I just phased out. Anyway, siege tanks sieging up here. That is, you know, 4 siege tanks is not a thing that you want to be pushing units, light units into. So this little collection here, you know, the roaches are armored. They'll take some siege tank shots to the face. These lings won't. They'll just melt straight away, and so will the hydras. You know, if you look at a roach, 145 and it's armored. A hydra, 90, not armored. So the siege tanks will obliterate those lighter units pretty quickly. So this is a very heavily defended location. Now these banshees have got cloak, are ready to go. Unclear why they haven't yet gone, but off they go. And let's see how much they can get done. 2 banshees can one-shot a worker. There are going to be Mutalisks coming out from the Zerg player, and in addition to that there are Hydras. So there's plenty there that can shoot this, but once the Banshees cloak, they will be invisible, and they have been around for a long time. They didn't fly straight across the map, so they've got plenty of energy. Now, Marsbar is ready for this. So these cloaked units are going to come in and start shooting. You don't want to be shooting roaches, though. That's kind of a waste of time. The roaches take an awful, and you definitely don't want to be shooting buildings, really. I mean, like, I don't like this choice at all. I'd much rather see these picking off the workers that are mining gas, for example. You could have killed pretty much all the workers by now, but instead you've killed 1 roach warren. So this Banshee is going to run out of energy pretty soon. 12, 10, 9, and as soon as it runs out of energy, it's going to become visible. But in fact, Ghazghkull warps in an Overseer before that happens. Now, some Mutalisks are out. The Banshees then, so what did they achieve? They killed 1 roach warren. Somewhat disappointed by that. You know, with that said, it's always a bit weird in the EMS league because people don't really know what they're doing, so they don't spend their money. You know, the number of games I've casted where people have thousands in the bank, and actually you kill all their workers, it kind of doesn't matter because they've just got so much money. But in a normal game of StarCraft, losing your workers is massively detrimental because you do spend your money. You'd be at this point of the game as a Zerg and you'd have 4 bases mining, your 5th would be dropped, and you would have spent every single mineral and every single bit of gas that you'd mined so far. So you'd be maxed out completely. You'd be at 200 supply and ready to rock. So yeah, I part of me kind of doesn't mind people not focusing on the workers because arguably at this point in the competition. It isn't as important, really. So sooner or later, surely we're going to get a fight. There's some Ravagers out there on the map. They're going to have a good time. Ravagers can drop corrosive baths, can be very effective against siege tanks because siege tanks cannot dodge out of the way. I'll mention this sensor tower as well. Notice the ring on the map here. The sensor tower will show up any enemy unit within that ring. It won't show you what it is. It'll only show you it as a red dot. So if I go to Marsbar's view, as this Zerg army starts to encroach on the radius of this, we should see the red dots show up. So that's what Marsbar can see. He knows this is coming. Let's see how this army does. That is a lot of siege tanks. No, you were right to run. Just keep running. Don't stop running. Continue to run. That is absolutely brutal. Look. And even a Thor to just kill all the stuff in the air. This Thor is killing nothing. It's hanging from a medevac. That was nasty. I don't think the Zerg army killed a unit. Did it? Maybe there were some Marines. Did some stuff die? Oh, that's gnarly. So 60 to 12 is that was literally disgusting. So what have we learned, boys and girls? We've learned if you see loads of siege tanks like this, don't walk into it. Fly into it by all means, but do not walk into it. The only thing that you could send in here, you could send in cracklings, lings with upgrades could flood this area, and once they get on top of the siege tanks cannot shoot things that are right at them. It's a bit like if you see somebody threatening you with a bazooka, don't run away from them, run towards them and hug them. They can't shoot you. The siege tanks struggle against fast melee units. So the lings, of course, they'll take an absolute beating as they come in here. So what you've either got to do is have so many lings that, you know, the first kind of few layers of lings coming into the siege tanks being lost doesn't matter. You still manage to get surrounds on all these tanks and you nibble them down. Once the lings get on top of them, the friendly fire from the tanks will actually obliterate. The tanks will kill themselves because, you know, these will all be shooting the lings that are attacking this one, and the splash damage will obliterate it, and so on. So you can kill them with lings. Obviously, air units. The neater trick is to load them into drop lords, load the lings into drop lords, and just drop the lings directly on top of the tanks. Anyway, back to what's happening here. The supplies, not desperately uneven. Look at this money, though. You know, like neither. So much money to spend. Why is no one on 200 supply yet? We're 60 minutes deep and neither player maxed out. But yeah, Ghazghkull, you know, your opponent's got this very defensive position. So what do? Just expand all over the map. Just have so many hatcheries and so much money and minerals, and gas in the bank that if you lose 3 hatcheries, it just doesn't matter, because you know, if you lose an entire army, you can just remax. I like the inclusion of the mutas. Mutas, as I've mentioned before, they're not units. Their purpose isn't to fight. They're literally useless in a fight. They need to be in the back. They're backstab units. They fly around. They harass. These Thors hang in from medevacs. I'd love to see something happen with them. I'd love to see the Zerg player actually do something with them. But these 3 Banshees can actually focus on this hatchery remarkably quick. There's a full energy queen here, could get a transfuse off, and I would like to see this. That is a lot of Zerg coming out though, and does just mince that. The corrosive baths are good. Unfortunately, they're not actually hitting the battle cruisers. The blink out was also pretty clutch, actually, this battle cruiser with 31 health. Word to the wise, if you turn on flyer tips, it shows you the spot on the ground directly beneath flying units. That's where to aim for with your corrosive baths. So the Zerg are going to come in again here. This time there is going to be enough to just smash through this with brute force. It isn't well microed, and certainly there was a lot more losses than there could have been. Still, these corrosive baths are not actually landing on the BCs. Look, they're landing here, and they need to be landing here and here. And I don't think there's anything available here come the Hydras now. So the Hydras are going to see off these. Actually, with 2 more coming. I wish he would focus on the hurt one. Kill it. It's so easy to kill. Oh my goodness. Yeah. So, you know, another like little bit of micro that kind of seems pretty obvious, but I'll say it anyway. You know, if there's 3 battle cruisers and one of them is on 76 health and the other 2 are on 550 health, shoot the weak one first, just kill it. Where did that blink to? Where did it go? What? Battle cruisers are great for a backstab because you can use them in a fight, and then if and when you win the fight, you just blink them straight into your opponent's main base. If you've researched Yamato cannon, you can just focus down a building ever so quickly. Anyway, Zerg needs more expands. Ghazghkull, you need, like, we're 21 minutes deep here. You should have easily 7 bases. You know, this. All of these should be yours. There should be creep everywhere. You should by now simply possess the map. It's that simple. The mechanic of Zerg is to just consume. You consume all the resources and you just throw unit. The Zerg units are the squishiest in general. So Zerg tends to trade inefficiently, and that's okay because Zerg can also consume the map the fastest. So as a Zerg player, you tend to have the most workers, and you just throw units at your opponent and you trade armies. They have 100 supply of stuff, you have 100 supply of stuff. You lose your 100 and you take 40 off theirs, then you throw another 100 at them, and then you throw another 100 and another 100. And you can build your units so much quicker than they can that the net effect is that eventually Hellions just don't kill buildings, simple as that. The net effect is that you end up just grinding them down. So Hellions are fantastic against light units. They are rubbish against buildings. They actually would do okay against Hydras, but they're so flimsy that the Hydras will wreck them. Really, you use Hellions to kill things. Okay, this base in the top right is going to fall. There is still a Thor just hanging from a medevac, doesn't know what it's doing. And I think it's actually just going to die in the medevac if he's not careful. Here it is. This. Why wouldn't you chase that down? Why would you leave that there? Look how expensive that is. 3 medevacs and a Thor for free? For free! Just go and kill it. I don't know. I don't know what's happening. I am worried for the Zerg player because, our Zerg is trading fairly inefficiently. Look at the resources lost, but isn't consuming the map. If anything, it's the Terran that's doing the better job of expanding. Look, our Terran has 5 bases. Now, admittedly, 3 of them are mined out, but nevertheless, our Zerg is on 4 bases and hasn't yet mined, has only mined 1 of them out. So it's the Terran that's consumed more resources, has the higher tech army with siege tanks and BCs coming in. I mean, yeah, Hydras are good, not great against siege tanks, but actually the siege tank's not sieged up, so the Hydras should be able to just clear this up pretty handily. But again, it's an expensive trade for a Zerg that just can't afford it. We're only mining with 10 workers. That is the income. I say can't afford it. I know there's minerals in the bank, but minerals, you need gas to go with it, and for gas you need bases. The Terran, meanwhile, I don't know why the Terran doesn't have more gas, to be honest. So let's see how this fight goes. The army supply is in favour of the Zerg, and massively, overwhelmingly in favour of the Zerg in terms of army, but there are BCs being built, there are cloaked things being built. There's a couple of Liberators here that actually are going to die pretty quickly. The Ghost isn't cloaked, so it's going to die before the... I thought for a second the nuke was actually going to land there. That would have made my night. I would have loved that. I mean, who doesn't like a quality nuking? It looks like Marsbar. This game was yours to lose, and you have managed to successfully lose it. The biggest problem here is this. 12,000 minerals. I mean, if this game is over, there's no way back. So if I just reverse a little bit to before the Zerg was actually in your base, how were we going to spend? Oh, there's the nuclear missile. How were we going to spend all those minerals out of 1 barracks, 2 factory, and 3 starports? You don't have the gas to match the starport production in battle cruisers. You just don't. So, you know, what should you do with all these minerals? What you do is you just grab 10 of these and you drop 10 barracks, 20 barracks. That's a horrific amount of money. I've never seen so much money. I've been casting the EMS League for years, but you know, in a proper game of StarCraft, no, you just know, this shouldn't be happening. So, you know, you drop 20 racks and you just build Marines 20 at a time, and you just swamp your opponent with Marines. You've got so much money, why wouldn't you? Anyway, that's not how it's turned out. Ghazghkull is indeed going to take this first game just as soon as the Terran quits, which should be pretty soon. You know, I kind of like, obviously it's up to you guys how you play out the games, but you know, in a general rule, don't be salty. Mars, I don't know what's happening. Neither do I. In and out of game. No, what? I don't know. In and out again. Anyway, yeah, you know, don't be salty if you've lost the game. GG. Just like nobody wants to watch let's walk around the map looking for hidden buildings. Anyway, GG.